So, as we progress into all this, there are these guys that are all like, they keep taking up these positions where they're like, this is all I think is happening. And what it is they're anchoring, and they know they are, because they keep going back to when we didn't know enough. They keep going back to perspectives in which certain facts were unknown. And they keep saying, if you guys leave me behind here, what you're doing is unethical because this concept doesn't know any better and takes priority because of their irrational reaction. And also, I don't like that bitch ass nigga, so I'm just more important anyway. And if you leave me behind, it's gonna justify me being violent because this is violence towards me. And the whole idea is they adopt these old, non-informed perspectives, trapping us with a moral dilemma. I'm smart enough to handle it. I'm intelligent enough to handle it. That's been the thing that all the kids my age have been doing. I can live without certain things they can't. So it's always, no, you can live without it, just accept this for a little while. But a little while is always happening because the next thing they can't live without, and the next thing they can't live without. These people just pretend that they don't know anything. They go back to a position in which if you were to attack them, it's a dilemma because at that point it's not their fault because they're uninformed and irrational. And they know that it was working. And like little kids who don't know any better, but are just following the patterns of what worked, they're hoping that if they keep doing it, then we'll all be forced to go back to those perspectives with them, abandoning what we now know, and they'll be allowed to attack me. The position I'm in is in that them adopting these characters, these moral positions against me, creating this concept of me just being a horrible person, no matter how they depict it, and it not mattering what was happening to me, what was going on, how old I was, whether it was facilitated and instigated, or whether I didn't act on my own there. So they keep just saying that's all he is, and I don't have to listen because I'm irrational and this is all I know. And if you attack me, if you're violent, if you question me, what you're doing is immoral, and I can attack you as well. Two perspectives remain. One, the perspective in which you can judge anything that happened while I was a developing child, being manipulated, played with, disturbed for his differences. And the one in which you can ignore all of that and attempt to take the things that happened out of context and have them float like spontaneous existence with no explanation for how it occurred. Because that is the only way that you can make me a bad person, is if you play images without any description of what's going on, of how those images came to be. So the argument is, do you treat me like a victim, or do you treat me like someone who's done horrible things? But look at the situation now, and that epiphany I had earlier, where there was already a emotion, and I was just going to be pushed into it, and then it was going to get caught. And then because I was the oldest and the most intelligent, it was going to be my fault. And they were going to say, there is no confusion. It happened again. How can you even question this? It shows me how much people are willing to let these things happen just to have their ethical concepts on me. I was struggling with the idea that I couldn't fight these people because they were only the concept of people with an irrational desire to harm a concept that was harming them and their loved ones. But seeing this, and it staying real, it being real in my mind, it not going away, it made me realize all these things that I think were impossible when I was a kid were only impossible because to me at that time, that wasn't what life was. At that time, I didn't know that any of this was happening. And so I keep going back to that mindset of being a child. And from that mindset, it's not even possible for those things to happen, so I can't figure it out. But from here, from this position, I know exactly what all this is. And putting that there in my childhood is a really hard thing to do. It's the fact that you all try to act like you don't know what you did. It's the fact that you all think that you can survive if you remove the details. The fact that you think that if you pull the context and put those fucked up images in my mind, that I'll be obligated to, without explanation, concede. But I can't. I know what this is. I know what you've done. There is no position that you can take against me that is logical enough to sustain itself without collapse.